Hello everyone. I knew I couldn't stay away from Dark Souls 3 for long. This video I've been working on for a little while. It's information that I found helpful when I've been crafting my invasion builds, deciding what stats or rings that I want to use. You see, I get a big kick out of graphs and numbers, so I wanted to kind of incorporate that a little bit into my enjoyment of Dark Souls, and I hope you get a little bit out of this as well. It's mostly just a fun little project for me. Okay, vigor. The importance of vigor is very well understood by the majority of you Dark Souls players out there. Be you veterans or novices, I'm kind of assuming that if you're watching this channel you already know how much is good enough, really, in terms of your vigor investment. However, having the numbers and stats displayed graphically has helped me visualize the game's sort of intended leveling path and better understand why we stop at certain levels. It's all well and good seeing a table of values on like the wiki page, but actually seeing the soft and hard caps displayed visually I find is a lot more engaging. I doubt that I'm going to be revealing anything new to you in this video, but simply another perspective on perhaps the most important stat in the game, you know, highlighting some of the more useful tools and how you can best manage and get the most out of it. Displayed here is your unembered maximum HP as you invest points into vigor, and as all of you can see there's the relationship between your max HP and vigor is not linear. It instead forms a nice kind of S curve that levels off significantly the higher you invest. We all understand the term diminishing returns in the context of Dark Souls, at least, where the benefits of investing in a particular stat reduces the further you invest. For example, the HP increase from say 30 to 40 vigor is 157. However, the increase from 40 to 50 vigor will only get you an increase of 87 HP. So the soft cap is the term given to the numerical stat value which diminishing returns sets in. And for vigor this is actually 17, as you can see on this graph. After 17 vigor the effects of diminishing returns set in and the HP increase you gain starts to drop. Why don't we just stop leveling vigor at 17 and call it a day? Clearly it's not worth the investment if we aren't making serious positive gains. And so any and all experienced invaders or PvPers would quite rightly laugh you off the face of the earth if you stop leveling your vigor at 17. So the graph, as you can see, has three distinct drop-off points with regards to HP returns at 17, 28 and 50 vigor, where you will then reach the hard cap. And just as an aside, the hard cap is defined as the point at which negligible or pretty much zero gain is achieved with each stat investment. So it's kind of the point at which you're flogging a dead horse and you really needn't bother. So the joke of the 28 vigor meta that went around for a little while comes from this actually, where some players would deem it unnecessary to invest in vigor beyond that point because of the increased pressure of diminishing returns. It's fine for some people. the investment in stats, the mechanic by which you invest your stats is a risk-reward mechanic, and it's up to the player to determine at which point the benefit is so fucking low that the level could be, more effectively used elsewhere. I mean, you could, dump an extra 10 points into vigor, but how much are you really going to get out of that? Basically, if you dump those 10 points into like a damage dealing stat, for example. So for invaders, one of the main risks in PvP is the multi-man stun lock that you all know so well, where your maximum HP pool is taken from 100 to 0 in a matter of seconds as you're butt fucked by multiple players. So having a large maximum health pool to draw on is incredibly advantageous, as it will mean one stun lock doesn't spell instant fucking death. But from a try-hard dueling perspective, that scenario is never going to present itself, so perhaps an investment in vigor beyond the cap of 28 isn't worth it in favour of investment into other stats. I think that was the general consensus when the 28 vigor meta was established. But yeah. So for this video we're going to be focusing on invasions, because that's what I like, and that's the true PvP experience in my mind. So most invaders will be aiming for a vigor stat of approximately 40, depending on the soul level you're making your character. But you know, first, say a soul level 90 meta character, you'll be aiming for a vigor of 40. And so this is a good compromise between having a substantial starting health pool and leaving levels available for investment in other stats. Even though the hard cap for Vigor can be shown to be 50, as you saw in the previous graph, again, it's all about that compromise. So, when considering invasion-based PvP, there are two sides to Vigor that have to be taken into account. Your short-term health pool and your long-term health pool. Now, what do I mean by that? Your short-term health pool is a single HP bar determined by your Vigor and any HP boosting rings that you have equipped, like life and favour and protection. Whereas your long-term health pool excuse me, is dictated not only by your Vigor and HP rings, but also by your Estus Flask and the total amount of HP they can heal. So, a fully upgraded Estus Flask will heal 600 HP. So the 7 fully upgraded Estus that are available to invaders can restore a potential of 4,200 HP, assuming of course that each flask you chug heals the full 600 HP each time. So for the rest of this investigation, we're going to be assuming that you heal the maximum amount of HP with each chug of the flask. So the short-term HP aids your ability to survive burst damage, such as stun and riposte damage, whereas your long-term HP serves your ability to survive in longer, drawn-out fights, where you have the ability to heal any of the damage you take. So, for an invader, you need to become master of both aspects of Vigor. You need to be master of your own Vigor, people. Alright, for the analysis, we're going to assume that your rings are going to be at +3, because why the fuck would you use any of the non-+3 rings, right? Okay, so we need to have a look at how these rings stack with your Vigor. Your health increase from rings is calculated as such. As you can see, it stacks very much like a pyramid, so you get your 30% from your Ember, will be calculated from your base Vigor, 10% on top of that from your life ring will be calculated from your embered health, and finally the 6% boost from favour and protection is calculated from your embered health, including the life ring. So now no matter which way you try to stack it, the maths will always work out the same. So it goes Vigor, Ember, life, FAP. So let's take a little look at the benefits of life and favour and protection. Most players have FAP equipped constantly as a matter of principle and for good reason. But I feel that the life ring often gets overlooked in favour of others, especially the Hornet ring. That's usually a permanent ring on a lot of invader builds. But I'm going to make the argument for life ring being the next go-to invader ring. As you might expect, the HP increase from your rings is percentage based, calculated off your Vigor. The benefits of wearing the rings increase immensely the higher you pump your Vigor, because it's percentage based. So if you decide to level your Vigor from 40 to 50 without using the rings, you will only gain an 87 HP difference, which is pretty piss poor, given that you've just invested 10 whole levels in it. However, if you invest the 10 levels and slap on both life and favour and protection +3, all of a sudden you gain a nice tasty 303 health point boost. And all of a sudden those 10 levels have paid for themselves. Using life on its own at 40 Vigor will show significant benefits. By using the life ring at 40 Vigor, you will have outstripped the base HP gained from an investment of 50 Vigor. Pretty damn cool. Again, this all feeds back into the risk-reward mechanic of build crafting. Are the extra levels or ring slots worth what you're getting out of it? Your short-term survivability will noticeably increase. One basic bitch split leaf combo isn't going to ruin your day, and with a bit of luck, and you know, with the wind blowing in the correct direction, you may just end up surviving a Chaos Dagger repost. However, a super heavy Vigor investment build will not significantly affect your long-term survivability, which we have discussed includes all your Estus. having that extra 300 HP means jack shit if you can't heal it up each time. So let's take a look at that now. From the information, using common sense, you can see that your maximum health pool is ultimately dictated by your Estus Flask, and your increased Vigor from the rings doesn't make much of a dent in your long-term HP pool. Things like regen, Sieg Brows, Divine Blessings would also increase your HP pool, but for simplicity's sake and for the sake of this video, we're just going to ignore those, just pretend they don't exist, and simply focus on the Estus Flask, because that's where most of the HP recovery is done. So, some interesting information about your Estus upgrade. It also suffers from diminishing returns. I had no idea about this. I thought it was sort of a flat increase each time, every time you upgraded your flask, but no, it suffers from diminishing returns just like everything else. So as you can see from the table, the final 2 upgrades of the flask only nets you an extra 20 HP. Fortunately, there's no penalty or decision on whether you should or should not upgrade your Estus, so it's rather a moot point, to be honest, but I thought it was interesting. So sort of beyond Estus level 6 or 7, the increase you get isn't going to matter all that much. So when people complain about Twinks and their plus 10 Estus, you can just point to this and say, look, the plus 10 Estus isn't all that amazing. Like, compared to like a plus 6 Estus, it really isn't anything to write home about. Now, back to the point at hand. The only item in game that can further boost your Estus power, and is often overlooked, to be honest, in favour of other rings, is the Estus ring, which increases the amount of HP healed with each flask. And so using this ring can dramatically increase your total HP pool and your long-term survivability, as shown here. Now, for a fully upgraded Estus Flask, the amount healed jumps from 600 to 720, which is a decent 120 HP increase. This is all well and good, you might say, but it isn't worth removing one of my other rings. Well, let's take a look and see how that works out over an entire HP pool. As you can see, the total potential HP that can be healed from the Estus Flask has jumped from 4,200 to 5,040, which is a total increase of 840 HP. Now that works out to approximately 1.4 additional Estus Flasks during the fight. Not only that, but you increase the likelihood of each chug of the Estus Flask will push you back up to your maximum HP, which, as we discussed before, will grant you short-term survivability, especially if you've made a heavy investment in Vigor. So, as a benefit of wearing the Estus ring, your total available HP pool has increased by 15%, which is a significant amount. Obviously, your ultimate survivability will count on a million other external factors when in an invasion scenario that cannot be accounted for or quantified. However, understanding and effectively managing both of your long and short-term HP pool will give you a better opportunity to stay in the fight for longer. So, as I mentioned before, the way in which you craft your PvP build is a risk-reward mechanic, and I feel like this is the most relevant when making a low or mid-level character. When you start moving over the meta level, your stat investments and rin selections will start to matter less with regards to completing your build. Say for example, a soul level 140 character probably isn't going to be needing the Carthus Milk Ring for the extra 3 dexterity, or even the Prisoner's Chain for the 15 levels in Vig and Endurance, because their high soul level would have taken care of that investment for them. So how can we relate this to our investigation into Vigor? Well, as we previously mentioned, in an ideal situation most invaders will be aiming for approximately 35 to 40 Vigor, depending on your soul level of course, giving you the HP needed to take on, you know, the Password Southern Havoc Mages and the Meta Twinks of Lothric and all that good stuff. But at the lower soul levels you're very much confined to a small pool of weapons and builds due to the somewhat mandatory and heavy Vigor requirements. However, now that we understand our Vigor a little bit better, we can start to make some tactical decisions with regards to our stat investment. So, for example, With a base figure of 33 and the addition of the life ring plus 3, we can reach the equivalent of 40 vigor, which essentially tells us that for this level of vigor, the ring is worth 7 levels, which are now free to be invested in other areas. So if we wanted to go even further down this rabbit hole, if we throw on the ring of favour plus 3 into the mix as well, the level of vigor required to reach our goal of 40 has now dropped to 29, giving us an additional 4 levels on top of the 7 we already gained from the life ring, and that's pretty damn good. So by taking a look at how many levels each ring is equivalent to, we can better determine their worth to the build. It could be that depending on your attachment to the additional equip load and stamina, you forego the Ring of Favour entirely, which is heresy, I know. We all love the Ring of Favour, and I'm starting to believe that it is not essential for every build. It's great and can pick up slack in lots of areas, but it's not essential for every build. So yeah, we could forego the Ring of Favour entirely and slip on one of the damage dealing rings, like the Knight or the Hunter's Ring, which are worth 5 points in either Strength or Dexterity. Now, I'm not saying that this is the way to create your build, but it can give you some interesting build crafting options, while still giving you access to the large starting health pool needed to survive the ganks and the password summons, etc, etc, etc. So, I hope I've given you some food for thought. Like I said, I doubt I'm revealing anything earth-shattering to you guys. Just an alternative way of looking at perhaps the most valuable stat in the game, in my opinion. If you have any additional information you want to share with regards to Vigor, please let me know down in the comments. I really enjoy hearing what you guys have to say. That's the best part about doing a channel and talking about this game, is hearing what you guys have to say. So good invading out there, and I'll see you guys around.